I think it's always also somewhat ironic for President Biden to say we've got the greatest economy in the world and not mention, oh, by the way, it's happening under Trump taxes. Right. Low taxes might be working, right?
The Trump tax cuts has been the best tax policy, frankly, in the history of the United States.
It's that time again. Time for conservative networks and pundits to trick regular Americans into thinking that Republican, and in this case, Trump tax cuts are actually designed to benefit them. The discussions to their audiences are always simple and limited, with slogans that make them think that the GOP is just automatically on their side. But when reality is brought up, there are loud interruptions and inaccurate pushback to protect that agenda.
I figure I'd quote a few people that are nonpartisan here. The Tax Policy Center declared that the top 1% and 5% benefited the most. The Center on Budget and Policy said the 2017 Trump tax laws skewed to the rich. It was expensive, and it failed to deliver on its promises.
But that gets away from the point. He's making
let me just finish.
You're getting away from the point.
Let me just finish. No, I'm not. No, if I could just finish. So my point to Steve is, when it went from 39.6 to 37, that was not needed. When it went on the corporate tax from 35 to 21, all corporates would have been fined at 25 to 28. It is absolutely clear it's skewed to the upper class. And President Biden in no way is saying to change taxes for anyone below $400,000. He wants to extend the child tax credit. He wants to extend the earned income tax credit.
That's not the point.
So your graphs
will you pay more if you make less than $400,000 a year?
Yeah. No,
he's been saying
not.
Okay.
He wants to not change anything under $400,000. You should read the text.
He wants to not change. That's not to say that they won't be paying more.
No, if he doesn't want to change anything for people making under $400K, but it still doesn't mean people won't be paying more, as the host Sandra Smith randomly claimed there. The only group that can change that is the House and Senate overriding his wants with a bill that targets those people. So that's how misinformation is spread by corporate media groups that obviously benefit from our normalcy of just giving them and the top 0.1% tons of money in the tax code. They just say it and it's considered fact. But when the Tax Policy Center gives their analysis, they give comparative numbers between the tax cuts the rich will get after 2025 under Trump's plan versus the vast majority of regular Americans. The top 0.1%, who all have incomes over $4.5 million, would get an average tax cut of $175,000 in the first year if the Trump tax cuts are renewed. Those with incomes over $1 million would get nearly $50,000 tax cut. Now, meanwhile, the most taxpayers, 55% of us, or 102 million households making less than $75,000 a year, would get an average tax cut of just $330 a year. That's less than $1 a day. Households making under $50,000 a year would get an average tax cut of less than $200 overall. It's like 50 cents a day. So you get the tax cut they think you deserve, and it's minuscule. So folks are left waiting for the same trickle down from these ultra-rich people and corporations that they've been waiting for decades. People don't have the time to look up detailed tax plans and policies, compare them to previous years, and analyze the changes or who receives what at a later date. That's what Trump's tax plan takes advantage of. And the people are left with their reality conflicting with what they're told on TV.
As we have been talking about for months, a lot of the numbers are good for the administration, but it just doesn't feel like it. And that's one of the reasons why young people are abandoning Joe Biden.
So if Fox News tells you that you can't afford anything because of the tax plan, and not the fact that you're still working under a minimum wage of $7.25 an hour that rich people in Congress have refused to raise since 2009, we believe it because they'd rather have us fighting in detail over discussions from the 3 trans girls in sports, claiming that it's ruined everyone's life. But when Trump talks to rich people who pay him and other politicians for laws that benefit their bank accounts, he gets to the important stuff, and he leaves the bullshit for the folks whose pockets are being picked.
2017, he signed a $1.5 trillion tax cut bill, largely for the rich and corporations. It was hands down the least popular piece of legislation he ever signed, and his most important. A plan that gave lots of breaks to the rich, to corporations, and didn't stimulate the economy.
Because you are all people that have a lot of money. I know 20 of you, and you're rich as hell. We're going to give you tax cuts. We're going to pay off our debt.